love big, muscly men.
I love watching them hit each other. I love watching them be boisterous, and I love watching them be emotional. This makes it no surprise that when Iron Man Franky with his booming chest and attitude joined the Straw Hats, I was immediately a fan. But besides his awesome muscles, killer theme music, and super voice, what is there to like about Franky? What's his deal? We know that he's the shipwright, sure, but what really makes him a Straw Hat? Our nakama. Our nakama who, despite being a Straw Hat, has never made it to the top 10 spot of any poll. So, bottoms up as we put together a delicious six-pack of super cola flavors and find out why he's our crewmate. Franky's first documented whereabouts was when he appeared on Scrap Heap Island with a boom when he was 10 years old. The South Blue child was abandoned. His parents were no good pirates that threw him out because he was being an unmanageable brat. Who are Franky's parents? We do not know, but knowing Oda's use of Chekhov's shoelace, if there is a shoelace mentioned, someone will be shot with it later. Franky's parents will appear later. Hopefully. Impressed by his cannon of rubbish, Mr. Tom decides to bring Franky in as one of his apprentices. Tom is the shipwright who built the Oro Jackson. The ship sailed by Gold D. Roger. The world government isn't too happy about the Oro Jackson and they decide to execute Tom. But instead, Mr. Tom extends his lifespan in exchange for building the Puffing Tom, a glorious sea train. Mr. Tom has a very important conversation with Iceberg and Franky about blueprints to an ancient weapon and Nico Robin. Franky is now 26, and the government appears with spokesperson Spandam requesting the blueprints. Because Tom refuses, Spandam takes control of Franky's battleships to frame Franky for attacking a judicial ship. Franky says he hates his ships, disowning them outright as his own creations hurt his mentor. Tom pulls out a flippin' harpoon from his chest and imparts something core to Franky's being. Someone's gotta love what's created. It should be their creator. He's proud to have built the Pirate King's ship, and his dreams have set sail. He is then put down in front of Franky and Iceberg. Franky retaliates by hitting Spandam square in the face with the stock of a gun like a baseball bat. Thank you. Franky tries desperately to stop the Puffing Tom with all his might. However, he is no match and is shot flying away. He is presumed dead by the world government, and he's returned to Scrap Heap Island. Here, for 4 years, Franky repairs, replaces, and upgrades his body. Franky went on to form a family. They dismantled ships and hunted pirates in Water 7, making a name for themselves. He went on like this, trying to get his dream off the ground and being a punk. He went on like this, until the Straw Hats arrived at Water 7.
I'm gonna make you pay!
Show yourself, Straw Hat!
Franky is positively boastful, as in, he is boastful in a positive way. This is the lesson that Tom passes on to Franky after he had disavowed his creations. He stands proud over his work as a creator. What can be seen as arrogant, self-centered hype beasting of himself is actually Franky loving what has been created, his cyborg self.
Super!
He is literally a self-made man. A man of his own creation who beats to the boom of his own drum with pride. His manly pride can be seen in his battles or antagonist scenarios where he shows off what's in store for the competitor. Take his battle with Nero as one example. He breaks out his goofy centaur mode against him with such confidence. The way Franky flaunts the Sunny and his creations could be seen as bragging, but this is done once again in his senpai's teaching. One reason why I think Franky gets so emotional over the connections he's made and the stories of the people around him is because, in a way, I think that Franky may view his friendships as one shared creation. He cares what the other person is putting into the moment they are sharing, what made them who they are. There are a few flashbacks through Water 7 that highlight Franky loving the Franky family he's put together, Sodoma and Gomorrah, his sea beasts that joined them, and, later on, his connection with the Straw Hats and more. I think it's fun to consider what Franky's treasure is since the idea of treasure is so central to the show.
I believe his treasure is what he builds, which can be literal with the Thousand Sunny, but also metaphorical with his crewmates and friends. Franky is weird, and his thoughts are weird, 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 and iron. His weird personality is part of what sets him apart from the crew. I'm not saying that the rest of the crew isn't weird in their own ways, but Franky is especially weird.
新鮮一番お野菜パンチダウ15
The oddness is built into what he designs, too. Take, for example, that his fuel determines his personality.
どっこいしょ畑すごとも一段落だなこれ出ねえだろや青が
He prefers to stay Franky fully cola loaded, though. His authentic self is always what we are seeing on screen. He's not putting on a show. Well, okay, kinda.
ケンタウロス逆だ胴体が後ろ行ってんじゃねえか
In terms of modern Franky, we get a new hairstyle every arc with a touch of his nose. And we also have nipple lights.
Nipple lights.
Usopp, he had to build them there. His sudden outbursts of emotion over stories or people's actions are not normal to say the least. We see both of these on full display after Franky kidnaps Usopp in Water 7. Usopp explains leaving the crew over the Mary's condition, and Franky bursts into songs and tears. He ends up crying so much he's exhausted. Then he gets real, like, super real, and throws Usopp into the water to see for his own eyes the disrepair of Mary's keel. What a swing of emotions back to back.
今回の一件怒りを収めざるを得ないじゃない俺のマイホーム兼解体工場のフランキーハウス全開さらにうちの部下どもを全滅させてくれやがっててめえらこの野郎
He swears he's not crying though. Unless, if he's getting his balls crushed by Robin, then he's crying. And he's crying if he's faking getting his balls crushed by Robin. Franky is intelligent. No, seriously. According to Oxford Dictionary, intelligence is the ability to acquire and apply knowledge and skills. In determining the idea of intelligence in the One Piece universe, we must look at Dr. Vegapunk. It is said that he has a tremendous knowledge and unmatched understanding in all fields of science. Franky was able to understand the beauty of Egghead's old blueprints, studying and working in his old lab. When he returns after the 2-year time skip, he has improved upon his design from his understanding of Vegapunk's work. What's that? It's called the Nightmare of Baltimore because what? Franky did what? Even taking his super inventions out of the equation, which would require an above-average understanding of physics, mechanical engineering, electrical engineering, advanced mathematics, you see the evidence is in his trunks. Sometimes people will make their wardrobe all gray shirts, and lizards too. But Franky has taken it a step further. These are his only pair of trunks. Why waste time even choosing between the same color when you can eliminate choice altogether? Certified genius move.
Okay, if you say so.
Franky's intelligence lends itself to his creative and tactical fighting style. The constant refining of his inventions means that he recognizes and sees not only where to improve strength, but where to also exploit weaknesses. Fukuru having the upper hand surely could have bested Franky, but Franky, being the street rat he is, has a trick up his sleeve to survive and holds him hostage, creating an opening to put that man in check by centauring him in place. This makes Fukuru choose between drowning or bringing them to land. What's this from the ropes? Checkmate! Franky and Nami's plan to turn Monster Chopper back into regular Chopper in Water 7 worked by exploiting his weakness. The advantage of Franky not having ate a devil fruit means that he can swim and shoot himself and Chopper straight into the sea to turn him back to normal. The other Straw Hats have fought creatively before. Think Luffy getting wet versus Croc. But Franky makes that his style. That's what makes the Senior Pink fight so different than his other battles, because he is going in all punches. The last reason is actually a huge spoiler that if you're not done with Egghead Island, skip to this point in the video to avoid it. In Egghead Island, it is revealed that the entire world's water levels are rising every year by the certified Big Bang Theory Sheldon of this universe. The only other person to reference this occurring earlier in the series is Franky in Water 7, where he notices this is happening outside of the Aqua Laguna storm effect. Merriam-Webster defines punk as a petty gangster, hoodlum, or ruffian. But punks have taken many forms over time. For example, in 1890, author of famous book My Secret Life Volume 6, as which we've all read, it was stated that I at first took fancy again for women in the suburbs, punks, who would let me have them for half a crown. The punk in this scenario is another word for prostitute. In the early 1900s, it was used as a slang for a homosexual man, a young male companion, a weakling, an amateur, contemptible, despicable. Nowadays, punk, as a definition from an establishment, is best described by Cambridge Dictionary, a style or culture among young people expressing opposition to authority through shocking behavior, clothes, and hair, and through fast, loud music. The best anti-establishment answer is from Urban Dictionary. Punk is about liking what you like, being yourself, saying what you think, and fuck all the rest. You don't need anything to be punk except for awareness, self-respect, respect for others, and an open mind. Franky perfectly fits these descriptions. However, as we can see, punk is about making a statement and not just with your looks. He likes what he likes.
Why don't you put on this fur pelt? Whoa, a fur pelt? No thanks, I'm trying to maintain a style here.
He's always himself, he respects himself and others, and he always keeps an open mind. The Franky family is a group of people who look up to Franky and work for and with him due to this admiration. His right-hand man from the group, Zombie, used to be a gang boss. Franky defeated them and brought them into his crew. Sadamu and Gamora were originally going to be meals for the Franky family, but he ended up deciding to let them join the family instead. We can also see this through his friendship with Senor Pink, a self-made baby. A self-made baby man! A gangster who redefined his image for Russian, his beloved, in order to make her smile after the death of their baby. Sanji might be more inclined to see the kind act for the lovely woman to make her smile, whereas Franky is seeing the redefinement of a man who built himself in the image of smiles. Because of this, Franky sees a friend in Senor Pink, whereas I'd expect Sanji would have sent him flying without a second thought. To some degree, everyone in the Straw Hats is a punk. The reason why Franky is a standout is due to his style, his personality, and the company that he keeps. In the One Piece universe, the world government is a strict authority that will make you the enemy due to what you know, who you associate with, and even your name. Their oppression is felt all around the world, and some island inhabitants are effectively born into slavery. Franky has stood up to this government and made himself the enemy. To the world, he is nothing but a punk, but to those who know him, he's family. Franky is unbiased and nurturing in his support of his nakama. Okay, Franky was a little biased about Nico Robin, but he didn't act on it in Water 7. Tom warned him about Robin's ability to activate the ancient weapons. However, Franky's thoughts of Robin softened throughout the arc. This happens while they are both on their way to the Gates of Justice. Franky recounts how he has the blueprints to an ultimate weapon, she has the power to awaken them, and the government will end the pirate age and then grip the world with its excess power and destroy it. Franky don't want that. He wants to get Robin back to the Straw Hats and for himself to get home. But why stick your neck out for a group of pirates you've been terrorizing for scrap, and a woman your father figure told you not to take home? Franky understands that she really believed the offer with the government. He's trying to get through to her in a very honest way. This is Franky seeing someone demonized by the world as human, and empathizing and helping her. During the Onigashima raid of Wano, Usopp and Chopper both board the Brachio tank to battle the Animal Big Mom Pirate Alliance. Being two of the three of the cowardly trio, they display their fear over the situation. However, they both draw strength in having faith in the creation of their crewmate, Franky.
It's so be it. I trust in you as strong as these very tank treads.
If we cannot trust the Brachio tank, then what else can we trust in this world? Take
Franky's first interaction with Usopp. Okay, not that interaction. He decides to kidnap Usopp to get Luffy to come fight him. Usopp up to this point has been the primary caretaker of the Going Merry. He feels a deep connection to this ship from Syrup Village and has been doing everything in his power to keep it afloat. Franky is showing Usopp tough love about getting through to him about the status of the Merry. In turn, Franky sees the love that has been placed into the ship and its possible power. The two get to talking and Franky tells Usopp about a sprite known as Klabauterman. It's the incarnation of a well-treated ship. Hearing that Usopp encountered one on the Merry, Franky's opinion of the Straw Hat changes. Pair that with the passing of the Merry, Franky sees how much the Straw Hats really love Merry. He even cries for her himself. By the laws of Oda, that ship was loved and nurtured to the best of their ability. Seeing the people who know how to truly treasure a ship, he decides to share this treasure with them and build them a ship of their own, and promise to continue to care for it for them.
You got the finest vessel on the sea, and no shipwright? That's a real pity. You don't leave me much choice. I gotta take care of my masterpiece after all, so set sail. I'm joining the crew.
Thus, we have assembled our six-pack. So let's Kude burst through why we all should treasure Franky a little more. He's a literal self-made man who will always have love in himself and those around him. He boasts a super intelligence matched only by Vegapunk. Further, Franky is a weirdo with gadgets and gizmos galore. But most importantly, he keeps the silent crewmate well. The crewmate we never hear from, but love to see. The Thousand Sunny. The Straw Hats would not have a home as amazing as they do if they didn't have someone exactly like Franky to join the family and keep their home and friend super. Thanks for watching. Stay funky and be super.